always tough telling your own personal story. I'd first like to thank Jim, Kristen, and Target Cancer for inviting me to Boston to tell my story. I was hesitant when Jim asked because I'm not a public speaker. I'm a mom, a wife, and a cancer survivor. Telling your story can be very emotional and very difficult. But my husband encouraged me to come to Boston because awareness is the first step to growth, and we need awareness of all rare cancers. I will feel grateful and accomplished tonight if I inspire one researcher to think outside the box, one oncologist to never give up on their patients and to always provide them with hope, and if it makes one of you want to contribute to saving lives through your philanthropic giving to Target Cancer, that would be a huge success. I met my husband when we were 16 years old on a blind date. We dreamt of getting married, buying a house, having children, traveling, and growing old together. The year 2010 brought the most devastating news to our family. When at 46, I was diagnosed stage 4 intrahepatic cholangiocarcinoma, and I was given 6 months to live. I remember the words that the doctors used to describe my cancer: rare, deadly, aggressive, fatal, no cure, no clinical trials, and no research. My husband and I left the doctor's office in a trance, and I'm not really sure how we even got home that day safely. When we arrived home, I crawled into bed and started praying, and my husband began to research. I watched him for hours upon hours, staring at the computer screen and just crying. There was very little information, and what was available was dated and very grim. The 5-year survival rate was 2%, and the average life expectancy was 18 months. The next day, we were referred to the Cleveland Clinic for a second opinion, and our new doctor gave us hope and direction. Things moved really quickly, and I was in an 11.5-hour surgery, removing 75% of my liver. The surgery was rough, it was risky, I needed 14 units of blood, and I spent a good amount of time in intensive care. Surgery was followed by 6 months of chemotherapy, and I remember ringing the cancer bell and the chemo thing, thinking, I am done with cancer. But as we all know, cancer has a mind of its own, and 8 short weeks later, I had 2 new tumors. I was back in for a second liver resection, this time to remove 35% of my liver, which had regenerated at that point, in an 8.5-hour surgery. Surgery, once again, was followed by 6 months of a different chemotherapy. This time I thought, okay, God, for sure, I'm going to be done with this now. Unfortunately, cancer can be relentless, and I had another recurrence with 2 new spots. The news was devastating, and I was sure at this point I would never survive. I was afraid, but I knew I had to dig deep inside of me, and with my strong faith and loving family, I continued to fight. You see, I don't fight for myself. I'm not afraid of dying, but I fight for my husband and our 2 sons, Jacob and Noah. I want to grow old with my husband. I want to be here for milestones in my children's lives. I have a recurring nightmare. It was our youngest son Noah's high school graduation. The theater was filled, the music began, and the vision panned to my husband, and there was an empty seat next to him. The vision then turned to the stage, and I watched tears streaming down my son Noah's cheeks as he accepted his diploma and looked out at the empty seat. I would wake up crying that I hadn't made it. I just hadn't made it. Well, Noah graduated in 2016, and I was in the seat next to my husband. What people don't understand is that cancer is not just a physical disease, but it's psychological, emotional, and financial, affecting the whole family. My husband tells me every day that it's an honor to care for me, but my dream for him is having a healthy and vibrant life, and some days I feel like he's been cheated of that. I want my children to be carefree, to not worry on a daily basis of how long they'll have their mother. My diagnosis created anxiety in our boys, my husband, and myself, and it saddens me to see the worry in their eyes when I even mention that I have a headache. We've had to learn as a family to deal with our new normal. Cancer has made us even closer, and it's given us the opportunity to enjoy all the small and precious things in life. Cancer is not a blessing, but I have received many blessings throughout my journey. One of the biggest blessings is the sincere appreciation of each and every day. My husband has taught me to thank God for today and to ask Him for tomorrow so I don't get too far ahead of myself because I'm a worrier. So back to my medical journey. We treated the 2 new tumors with a different chemo, and after 3 months, the tumors were continuing to grow, and it was obvious that the new chemo was not working. We went to a 4th chemo regimen, and after 3 months, it was determined it was not working either. We were running out of options. You see, rare cancers typically don't have their own treatment protocol, so the chemos I received were drugs to treat other GI cancers. My interventional radiologist suggested that we try SBRT, which is stereotactic body radiation therapy. The treatment was not being used to treat cholangiocarcinoma patients at the time, but he'd been doing some research on it and felt the tumors would respond positively. We successfully killed the 2 tumors and eventually treated 4 additional tumors successfully with the SBRT. Research does work. So in a nutshell, my journey has included over 32 hours of surgery, over 50 chemotherapy treatments with 4 different agents, SBRT 3 times. I've had 5 recurrences with 8 tumors, and I've been close to death 3 times. My wish and prayer is that no one would have to go through this journey, but unfortunately, this is the path of a rare cancer patient. There are no clear-cut treatment options, and so rare cancers are often treated with therapies from other cancers in hopes of working. There's so much uncertainty for a rare cancer patient because the potential treatments are just that, potential. Imagine going through all of this and not knowing if it was going to work. Imagine not being able to participate in a clinical trial because of financial restraints. Imagine not having the funds to travel to the best treatment facilities. These are all unacceptable scenarios, but they happen every day for rare cancer patients. When I was diagnosed, I knew I wanted to try to make something positive out of my diagnosis, and I knew I wanted to serve others. So I came up with 3 things. I wanted to increase my faith and hopefully increase the faith of others. I wanted to mentor other cholangiocarcinoma patients, and I wanted to raise crucial research money for my rare cancer. First, I'd like to address my faith. I think in adverse situations, people either run from God because they're angry or run towards Him and embrace His love. I knew I needed to embrace my faith and be comforted by His love. Second, I wanted to reach out to those who were newly diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma. I didn't want them to feel the isolation that I felt upon diagnosis. I truly felt like I was on an island all alone because of the rarity of this disease. I've mentored over 100 people, and I currently have 33 patients from all over the country. I have a unique mentoring style. I don't call once or twice, but instead I build a relationship with my new friends. I help them navigate second opinions, clinical trials, new treatment options, and most importantly, I give them love and hope. I tell them they can call me anytime, and they do. Imagine the time zone changes. And I love when I can meet them in person because there's an instant bond. We really know how each other feel. This past year, I sadly lost 16 of my cholangiocarcinoma friends, and as of this morning, that number turned to 18. And a piece of me died with every one of them. These were young moms, dads, sisters, brothers, friends, and children. The third goal was to raise research money. Our family created Craine's Crew in 2012, and we continue to grant 100% of the money we raise to cholangiocarcinoma research. I've seen some progress in rare cancer research since my diagnosis, but they've only been baby steps. And we're not moving fast enough to save lives because the funding just isn't available. I attended a meeting with a researcher last week at the Cleveland Clinic, and he told me the story of a young woman with a rare cancer who was out of treatment options. Because this doctor and patient were willing to take risks, and because there was funding available, they were able to move ahead with an idea. They injected her tumor into 12 mice all at once, and treated each mouse with a different treatment. They were able to identify the treatment that her tumor would respond to, and today she's 6 months out and doing great. This type of research takes resources that are not always available. Raising money is crucial for research, but it's also, as Jim said, very important for patients to be able to participate in clinical trials and new therapies. My heart breaks every day talking to patients who have limited access to the best treatment facilities because of financial restrictions. Patients with rare cancers need to be diagnosed and treated by a multidisciplinary team specializing in their rare cancer. Typically, these doctors are at top research hospitals. Rare cancer patients fall through the cracks when they're treated by a general oncologist in a small rural area who has never treated this type of cancer or possibly even heard of the type of cancer the person has. Cancer affects every one of us here tonight, and we have the power tonight to impact lives. Thank you for letting me share my story, and I hope you will share my passion and the passion at Target Cancer in making a difference in the lives of cancer patients. I'd like to close with a quote by Maya Angelou. I have found that among its other benefits, giving liberates the soul of the giver. Thank you.